If you're thinking about going to a counselor or you're wondering what counseling will actually feel like and if counseling will help you, this is a video to help you understand the counseling process and to see if counseling is needed for you or if you'd be able to solve the problem by yourself. Hello friends, welcome to the Indian Psychology. I'm Dr. Jithendra. The first and most important thing to understand about counseling is that it is given by a professional who has both experience and expertise in the field of psychology and counseling. Although there are other forms of counseling where social workers and other health professionals do engage in the process of counseling, when it is taken in a clinical context, it should always be practiced by a person who has gone through training in psychology and also in counseling. Many of us will think, why do I need a counselor? I'll be able to handle my problems by myself. So after all, a psychologist or a counselor is just another human being. How is he going to or how is she going to help me? This is a really common question. The one simple distinction is that that person is a professional in that field. Even a plumber, right? A plumber, you might think it is a very small, easy job. But even to do plumbing, you need a professional. Otherwise, you could get the job done, but you will create a dirty mess. The same thing is with the psychologist. He or she is a professional trained in that field and will be able to handle those problems in a professional way. But would I be needing professional help? Because all through my life, I've handled these problems. I've had terrible problems and I've handled those problems as well. I've never needed a psychologist. I'll go back to the same example. Even plumbing issues, right? If the tap is leaking a little bit, you'll be able to adjust it all by yourself. But you'll only call a professional when you think that things are out of hand and you would need somebody who will understand things from a better perspective, and that is when you call a plumber, right? The same thing applies to a psychologist. Many people will go about explaining the role of a psychologist or a counselor in a counseling session in many different ways, but I'll just give you a perspective of the three elements which make a counselor and what makes he or she better equipped to handle your problems rather than all by yourself. There are three aspects. One is the logical aspect. If you think about it, life is all based on logic. But at times, we will not be able to look or think about things in a logical way. Like, for example, when people are actually not respecting you and you feel like you are not even being seen by the people around you, or you're not getting the right kind of groom or bride for your marriage, you feel like you are feeling left out and you are not being valued. So you think about getting yourself a really big, luxurious car and you're thinking about going for a loan to get this car because your belief is that when you buy this car, people will be looking at you, people will be respecting you, and your problems will go away. Now, that could be a probable solution to this problem, but by buying that car, you are entering into a whole new set of problems about taking the loan and repaying the loan. Now, when you are in the thick of things, when you are emotionally or you are physically down, you'll not be able to always think logically. And that's where a third person or a person with an objective view, that's the very important thing. Objective versus subjective view. When you're going through your emotions, when you're going through your feelings, you'll not be able to look at things as they are. You'll only be looking at things from your tinted glasses. So it might look rosier or darker depending upon the glasses you wear. The glasses here are your emotions and your current state of feelings. Now, if only logic is required, can I just go to a friend and just figure these things out? This is a very probable solution to your problem. But one issue with that is that you might feel like if I share these things with my friend, will my friend think about me in a wrong way? Or more importantly, will he disclose these things to other people, landing me in more these kinds of problems where a lot of people think that I have low self-esteem issues and I'm also talking about these low self-esteem issues. So a counselor is a paid professional. He is paid not only to listen to your problems, but to also keep your problems in a confidential way. And not just that, your friend will only be able to talk from his experiences or her experiences and will be giving you advice. But in counseling, the counseling skills are a whole lot different than those advising skills. A counselor will never tell you whether you have to buy a car or not to buy a car to actually deal with those problems. He or she will only be guiding you through metacognition steps. Now, what is metacognition? This is the second part of being a counselor. Metacognition is thinking about your thoughts and then thinking about those thoughts. When you think about it, we do it all the time. You will be thinking about whether should I buy a car or not to satisfy the people around me. And you will be thinking, yeah, that is right, but then I will be getting into problems. And then another thought will come telling you, what are the other options that are available for me to please people and not buy a car? And then you will get into another list of things. Now, these are the steps in which you think about your thinking and you think about your thinking and so on and so forth. But when you are in a very vulnerable state, right? When you are in an emotional state, you will not be able to think on these levels and in these layers. And you need a professional to be able to give you the right kind of questions to trigger the right kind of paths for you to take. And the paths will not even be given by the counselor. He or she will only ask you, do you really think that buying a car will actually make people look at you in a different way? Or will they keep looking at you in the same way? That question will prompt a different set of responses from you. Then they will go on to ask things like, have you seen rich people with really big cars being disrespected by people? Then that will give you a different perspective. The answers that you give, the paths that you take will only be yours. The psychologist or the counselor there is only going to give you these questions. Third part of the equation is the psychology part. These are trained professionals in the field of psychology. And what is psychology? Psychology is a study of human behavior and the mental processes of human behaviors. They have studied it over a long period of time. They've invested time, money, and patience and perseverance into the field of understanding human behavior. Just like a plumber is, a psychologist is also a trained professional, but he is trained on different skill sets. Here it is about your mental processes, your behavior, your thinking patterns, and so on and so forth. So being a professional, this person, he or she, will be able to look at your logic, your psychological mental processes, and then help you through questioning your own thought processes, thereby guiding you towards your own solutions. That's the main part about being a counselor or a psychologist. A psychologist should never tell you what to do. They should only be guiding you with the right kind of questions, and the answer is always yours. So if you actually think about it, it is not actually a magical thing or anything like that. It's just a simple scientific process. Just like going to a doctor to get yourself diagnosed with the problems of your body, you go to a psychologist to get a better understanding of your mental processes. And it might not even be a big problem. It might be even taking a career choice. Like, for example, I'm in this profession right now. I want to have a career change. Am I in the right position? And I'm actually thinking things in the right way to be able to make this career change. This is a very simple thing. But even here, a psychologist will be better able to help you if you can afford them. And that's the most important next part. You would have handled so many problems all by yourself. But if you can afford it, if you can afford a professional help, then why not get a professional help? Like, for example, the organization in which you are working, the CEO might be able to do all the jobs in the entire office. But he or she is not going to do that. He or she is going to hire a professional to do the job for them. Why are they doing that? They are delegating that part of their problem to other people. This is the same thing that you're doing. You're paying somebody to listen to your problems and to handle your problems and to be able to guide you. Now, how to spot if you are with a good therapist? Because this is a very critical factor whether this process or you taking counseling is going to help you or is it actually going to hinder your development and your psychological well-being. Because trust me, there are a lot of people who call themselves as psychologists and counselors who are not equipped to handle your problems. Being a counseling psychologist is not about only understanding the field of psychology. He or she should understand psychology, but they should also be able to think logically. Not all psychologists will be able to do that. Not all logical thinkers will be psychologists. And he or she should never invalidate your feelings or your thoughts or your current life state. They should not be judgmental. They should not be making you feel bad. They should only be there to be guiding you with the right kind of questions. And they should never involve in any unethical practices. I don't want to bore you with all the ethical lessons. We know what ethics are and what morals are. They should never breach those morals or ethics. If you want me to talk about it in a detailed way, I can. But I hope that everyone will be able to understand what morals and ethics are. How long will this process take? If it is going to be a really simple problem, like for example, your career switching, or if you want to decide on something very simple, it's going to take only one session. Then we will be calling it as a counseling session. If it is a deeper problem, if there is trauma, if there is a really big life problem that you have recently encountered, like a death of a loved one or something like that, then you will need time to recuperate, right? Then you need somebody to listen to your feelings over a long period of time. And that person will be a counselor here, and that person will now be in the role of a therapist. But in therapy, it will be mostly centered around asking the right questions and then helping you deal with those feelings and then helping you deal with those self-critical attitudes and things like that. And there are many approaches to various different kind of therapies, and each has its own way of dealing with things. But this is a general overview of what a person could expect from a counseling session. I'm not saying that this video is going to be an end-all solution for your understanding of counseling. This is just an introductory video. This is an evolving process, and if you have more questions, you can always comment that in your comment section, and I will look at those and I will reply to those by making another video to keep this discussion moving forward. If this video was helpful for you, please push the like button so it will be sent to a lot of other people by YouTube. And if you like more such videos, please subscribe to the Indian Psychology channel. Have a great time.